Left turn and a lowest downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger, let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Kennard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around, that'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Kennard's going to have to go around. Kennard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. You do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow on the final, and as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to re-sequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Kennard?
Yeah, Kennard.
All right, Kennard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Kennard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Good evening. I hope this is working. I need to apologise in advance. I've got some slightly dodgy internet going on. Had to do a bit of a last-minute changeover. So my camera's here, my computer's down there, my running script things over there. So it's going to be a little bit all over the place tonight.
It's all good.
Even more than usual, you say. So, first things first. We've got an amazing show for you tonight. We've got Adrian Beanie who's going to talk to us about that fantastic feature he wrote about where's that smoke coming from or something similar. I can't remember exactly what we called it now, but it's because it's down there and I don't want to look that way. And we've got Noel Phillips joining us from Houston, Texas, vlogger, YouTuber extraordinaire. Got some stunning videos that I've been watching. So look forward to talking to Noel later. But first and foremost, we have to say thank you very much to Sky. Thank you very much to SkyDemon. Bit of a malfunction in the math department there as well. Thank you very much, SkyDemon, for supporting the live stream. It was a pleasure to stream from your offices last week. This week we're back in our own little cubby holes. Thank you for supporting it, and thank you for lending us your office, really. Let me give you your SkyDemon tip. Here you go.
Hi, I'm Rob from SkyDemon, and here's another top tip. While you're flying with SkyDemon, editing the route is locked, but you can unlock it to do the rubber banding feature by giving a leg a quick tap, bringing up a little label. While that's on the leg, you get one free rubber band, and then the route is locked in place again. To do it again, tap the leg again. You can do this as many times as you like. For more information, check out our website or our user manual from within the app.
Who doesn't?
There you
love
go.
it?
We're back. We are back. That was here we go again with the old internet not necessarily working properly again. So
It's working.
hopefully everyone can still hear me and see me. If they can't,
Yep,
hello?
we
No?
can.
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you. You're a little bit slow.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'll try and talk slower so the bandwidth can cope. It must be time for the weather.
Hi everyone, sorry I can't be with you live this evening, but hope
The
you
weather.
are well. Looking forward to a weekend of flying,
If
or at
someone
least
else
some
wanted to
flying.
click
I
the
think there will
weather.
be some windows there. Best weather anoraks on first of all this evening. Great satellite picture from this afternoon showing the clouds swirling around low pressure centred across the UK. And also just notice here these big clouds across southwestern parts of England getting to Southern Ireland and the south of Wales. Can you see those sort of blobs of cloud there? Yeah, that's a technical term. But those blobs of cloud are individual cumulonimbus clouds. Amazing, isn't it, when they look like that from satellite? A returning polar maritime air mass, which basically throws everything at us, including the kitchen sink. Those of you who are currently on the weather school course, you'll know I was talking about that on Tuesday evening. We'll be looking at it more next Tuesday evening as well. But yeah, returning polar maritime is the air mass we've got at the moment that brings us the risk of those heavy showers. Now, this is how things look for Friday. I think actually Friday probably turns out to be the better day of the weekend for most of us. Ridge of high pressure is building in, and that's going to be bringing fair conditions across most parts of the country. Decently high cloud bases, 3,000 to 4,000 feet, tops at about 6,000 to 7,000 feet. Could be some showers, though, just coming south through Scotland, associated with this weakening occluded front that you see here. I mean, whether it's occluded or not doesn't really make a difference. The fact is it's weakening, it's got 1 or 2 showers associated with it, and probably for northern and northwestern parts of Scotland we're going to be finding bases of around 2,000 feet, tops at 15,000 feet in those showers. But across eastern Scotland, southern Scotland, they fade away, and it looks as if it should be generally fair. Only other exception may be the far east of Kent. Could still be affected by some rain and some showers, but I'm hopeful that shouldn't have too much of an impact through the course of the day. Now for Saturday, things change. Another one of these frontal systems coming in from the west. Eastern areas may well fare okay at first on Saturday, but as that front comes in from the west, so it brings with it cloud and it brings with it rain. And I think really for many of us, it's a pretty wet, damp, miserable afternoon. The base is probably away from western and southern coast and hills. Not too bad. Sort of around 1,800, 2,000 feet, tops at about 10 to 12,000 feet, but visibility reduced. probably down to about 3 to 5 kilometres for most of us, and across western coast and hills bases lower than 1,000 feet, with reduced visibility, perhaps down to 800 metres to 1,000 metres at times. It gets better across Ireland in the afternoon, conditions improving here, and probably okay for the far north of Scotland as well, but generally with that front slipping east, a deteriorating situation through Saturday. And then finally on to Sunday. Well, still the remnants of a front affecting southeastern parts of England. Could be some pretty heavy rain overnight, actually, passing through the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast. I do think that we're going to have to wait until much later in the day before things improve across southeastern areas. So here, generally non-verifiable until the afternoon. Some hefty showers just getting into western Scotland and into the west of Wales through the afternoon. Some of those could be quite thundery. Some cunims in their bases 2,000 feet, tops at about 15 to 20,000 feet. They'll gradually edge their way eastwards, but I am hopeful that much of central and eastern England and eastern Scotland should fare okay, particularly during the morning. But as I say, those showers coming in through the course of the afternoon. So some windows to be found through the course of this weekend, whatever you're doing. Enjoy yourselves, safe flying, and I'll catch you next week. Bye for now.
Very good. Ian, Steve Baker says, amazing how in the late 60s, early 70s, they received good transmissions from the moon. Roll on 2020 and we can't receive Ian.
One giant keystroke for fly a kite.
You are,
Hello.
you are back.
While I'm here, while it's working, let's move swiftly on, and because we got a whole load to get through. So, Dave, take us away. What's the news? School report.
Well, I think before that, because you haven't got your running order, Sarah needs to talk about the Flyer Club first.
Sarah, I've forgotten you again. I'm sorry.
Yes, I have. Honestly, I'll
so
just go
sorry.
now, shall I? Yeah, so I mean, now is the best time to join the Flyer Club. We've got some really exciting events coming up over the winter. So we're going to do some member-only events. So a couple of ideas we've got are going to be a Spitfire simulator experience at Goodwood with the Flyer team. And we're thinking about an exclusive behind-the-scenes tour of Shuttleworth Museum, and that'll be with us as well. So we've got some good ideas, some really fun stuff coming up over the winter when, you know, flying is going to calm down a little bit. So we thought we'd do something fun for you all. So yeah, it's the best time to join, really. And we got some more really good landing vouchers this month, actually. In particular, we got Shoreham. So you know, we haven't had Shoreham, I think only once they've ever sort of taken part in this. So this is quite a big deal for them. So I don't know if you're aware, but it's £26 to land at Shoreham, which is, it's a bit pricey, but it's a great place. It's got a really nice restaurant, and it's just steeped in history. It's the oldest airport in England. So for those of you who don't know, The Crown was actually filmed there, so the Netflix series. So it's quite a cool place, and they do tours run by volunteers. So you can go and have a look around the terminal building and stuff like that. So it's a good place to go. It's a proper day out. Yeah, so get down there in November if you're a club member, and that's it. Oh, that rhymed. I like that.
Yeah, £26. That's half the membership.
That is half the
Become
membership.
a member in November.
That's it. Why have we not thought of that yet?
That's it.
I don't know.
Ed says, oh, that'll be with us. Is Johnny no more? No, Johnny is still with us. He's just having some time off, and Sarah has assumed a bunch of his stuff for the club. So it's all right. Johnny's still around. Johnny's terrible maths will occasionally continue.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent. Good. I was looking at something on Instagram the other day. I was trying to get down with the kids and everything, and there was a meme, and the meme had something to do with there was like a little video of a police squad jumping out of cars with guns and everything, and it was like, park your car in front of Shoreham without getting a ticket and they'll get you.
Oh, honestly, it is actually true though. I can speak from experience. I have had a ticket at Shoreham before, and I was not there long. I think it might have run over by about a minute or 2 minutes. But the thing is, when you're when you're flying, things run over. You know, I blame the weather most of the time, and to be honest, I just seen someone in the comments there saying they were told to hold for a long time. I mean, I have been held at Shoreham sort of on a taxiway for a very long time. So we're going to blame them, really. I mean, maybe they're working with the parking attendants. Who knows? But you've got to be really careful.
I got fined there and I hadn't even arrived. Okay. Anyway,
News.
let's move on.
Yes.
Let's move on, Dave, and run through some news.
Right. Well, the first story we've got is if you've ever wondered what the GA unit at the CAA does, then they've just issued their school report, their report for the last quarter, Q3 as they call it. And it's good. You have to give them their due. When you look at this, which is in front of me right now, they've done an awful lot. I mean, the big thing, of course, they've been consulting on the proposed changes to the micro rules, the CAT 482 B car section S light aeroplanes thing. But they're getting there with that. It's the main certification code for UK micro aeroplanes. Now up to 600 kilograms, 650 kilograms for amphibians or float planes. So that's the big thing they've been working on. They've also been doing some things with ex-military jets, something to do with component release. Don't really quite understand what that's about, but anyway, carbon monoxide detectors, that they've been doing a trial on that. There's a whole bunch of stuff on maintenance and continued airworthiness. And there's a section they call engagement. We have engaged with our GA stakeholders and pilots, either in person or virtually. So things like they've been going to shows. They were along at the LAA grassroots flying, where they gave Steve Markham, you may remember, got the initial permit to fly for his home-built Spitfires. Took him 9 years to build, didn't it, Ed? I think it was 9 years.
Certainly did. Yeah.
Yep. They supported the
That's almost as quick.
Sorry?
That's almost as quick as it takes the CAA to do anything, isn't it?
They're happy to help. So they've also been the World Women's Gliding Championships. So Stephen Hillier visited Cameron Balloons, apparently, and they've been engaging with members of the UK ballooning community. Recently, one little nice thing they did recently was that they've been looking at ways of presenting material. You may remember that CAA has not always been great in presenting material, but now they've got an animation department, or at least somebody they commissioned to produce animations, and they produced this very nice one. It's not a very nice subject, but it's a useful thing to do. It's explaining what happened to the aircraft that came down in the Channel earlier this year on a flight to Lutuke. We've actually got that on the website, so you can see it there. What else? There's a whole bunch of things. Safety promotions, working with Astral, Aviation Consulting, various workshops and articles they've been doing. One of which you've been involved in, Ian.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I must behave. Little heart CA.
Nick Allen says, the viewers aren't behaving. Nick Allen says, engaging with equals swanning around on freebies.
I think I figured it out. I think I know what goes wrong at the CA. They write their own documents and then they kind of put it around for internal discussion on it, which clearly has the effect that by about 11 o'clock in the morning, everyone's going, oh, you're going to get a nap now before they get to the end of that document. And they just sleep so much. So anyway, yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Just briefly, I did get involved in the Just Culture thing last night, which was kind of an interesting. I've yet to see the comments and the feedback on it, so I'm looking forward to that. It was an interesting thing. I think it would be fair to say that the Civil Aviation Authority has a fairly significant mountain to climb and a long road to take in order to introduce Just Culture into the world of general aviation.
Yeah, and as we've said before, there's some good intentions and some good people too, aren't there? So
yeah. I mean, taking the mickey out of the CA is a little bit of fun, and sometimes they deserve it. But there are some good people there, some good intention, but
that's
we
it.
just need to keep them honest. That's what we need to do.
Yep, definitely.
Talking of honesty.
Well, yes, it's some sad news, really. Obviously tomorrow. The self-proclaimed UK's #1 airport is closing. Surely that sounds completely insane, doesn't it? But Doncaster Sheffield Airport, owned by the Peel Group, closes its doors tomorrow. The Peel Group's claiming that it's not viable and that there's no viable buyers. The GMB, the union, came out today in response to claims of credible buyer, and they say, despite telling GMB and other interested parties during a meeting During a meeting, talks were being held with a bidder about a significant offer for the site. The Peel Group now claims no such bidder exists. Sarah Barnes, GMB organizer, said the Peel Group is being completely disingenuous. At a consultation meeting, they made it clear a serious offer is on the table. Today, no such offer exists. It's almost like they don't want a buyer for the airport and want to flog the site for housing. Goodbye, Ian. I'm sure they'll return. As the DMB points out, they're messing with the lives and livelihoods of the people of South Yorkshire. They need to do what's best for the community and not the shareholders' pockets. And this is crazy because airfields, well, they're not being made anymore, are they? It's impossible to get airfields. The chances of replacing a big airfield with another airfield, it's never going to happen. So surely we don't allow our infrastructure like this to be closed. And we are meant to be. We're meant to have a government that supports a fantastic aviation network. So losing an airport seems a bit crackers.
Yeah,
there's an old there's an old video interview with the boss of Peel Group, dating back to the early 2000s, when he said that an airport is the heart of a business community. So clearly they've changed their minds on that.
Yeah, and it's if you go on their website, the website's still saying we're the UK's #1 airport. So
yeah.
Paul Wheel says, I wonder how long they'll keep their airspace.
Oh, well, hopefully until they're closed and not beyond. Otherwise, you don't actually need it, do you? So hopefully on tomorrow or Saturday it'll all be taken down.
Yeah.
Have I gone again?
No. Mike Philpott says closing Finningley, which was obviously what was RAF Finningley before it was Doncaster Sheffield, is not bad news for GIA and gliding. They have a huge volume of airspace that will hopefully be restored to Class G. You can say that, Mike, but we don't really want to lose an airport either, do we? So maybe there's imagine a middle ground where maybe an airport's preserved and we have a bit less airspace.
Yeah, there's a bit better news from Wellesbourne. The local council, Stratford District Council, and the owners of the airfield have renewed the memorandum of understanding between the two of them. This protects flying activities, but allows the owners time to come up with a plan of mixed use for the airfield that is going to be acceptable all round. The good news is that the memorandum of understanding says the main runway, that's 1836, and all of the flying infrastructure and activities have got to remain in place. The threat of compulsory purchase by the council is there in the background should the owners renege on the agreement. So bit of good news there. It's not a completely resolved situation, but it shows that Stratford mean what they say when they want that to stay as an airfield.
That's good.
While I've still got a little bit of bandwidth, I'm sure it all runs out. A little quick sad note. I had an email earlier on from Robert Miller, who's a regular viewer, but doesn't post in the comments, to say that he popped down to the Cornwall Aviation Heritage Centre at Newquay, and it was closed. Basically, they couldn't find a solution. It looks like they're going to be evicted with nowhere to go. And from the other side of the fence, Robert looked on at a whole bunch of glorious UK aviation Lightnings, Canberras, etc., etc. Some of which he would have probably flown, actually, knowing Robert. So thanks for letting us know, Robert. And bloody sad news on that one. Yeah. So I'm gonna stay with this wave and run on to the next story, which is basically there's been a paper produced by Professor David Warnock Smith and Jordan Fleming in a scientific journal, and they effectively did a whole bunch of research, looked at 24 different people and 48 job roles, 24 companies, sorry. And decided that the Civil Aviation Authority, when it came to medicals and what's the word I'm looking for, reviews of medical issues, and they were that needed to be done, and the CA needs a medical ombudsman to better handle appeals. So the whole appeals thing at the CA was. Can anyone hear me still? Anyone move?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good. You're all keeping still, aren't you, on purpose? I'm talking. Yeah. Anyway, come on, CA, get a medical ombudsman is basically what this long, complex paper said. And then while we're on the subject of that, there's the PMD consultation which is going on at the moment. That ends on November the 7th. So please go on there and make your views known. I have taken it up with the CA about how they sampled 800 people, decided that 4% of the 400 people they sampled who had lost their medical or had medical issues had filled in their declaration incorrectly, and then extrapolated that 4% across the 14,000 or so PM days there are, and were worried by it. I did point out to them I thought that was pretty poor sampling, and I got a reply saying, "Well, you can't just read it across." And I went, "What, you mean like you've just done?" So I'm not sure what's going on there. Hopefully, someone at the CA will be watching this tomorrow and will give us an answer. We did get some answers today; they just weren't the ones. They didn't really answer that question, I guess. But please go and make your views known at that consultation. It's only open till November the 17th. The other consultation on licensing, for which there's a video coming up very shortly, runs until December the 16th. So you've still got a little while for that. But the November one for PMDs needs doing right now. Did anyone tell Sarah that her next news story is something called 2-ton Tessie?
We may have forgotten to do that.
No, but I did. I have actually read a bit of that article, so I can tell you. I actually just was trying to promote it for tomorrow. Actually, I was going to post it out. So the caption was, "Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's another flying car. But this time, it's a 2-ton car." I am talking about the right article, aren't I?
Yeah, absolutely. It's this.
Good. Yeah, 2-ton flying car developed in China. I mean, the thought of a 2-ton, I don't know. I'm not for it.
No.
Well, I think looking at that, it's like someone photoshopped a drone, like a small drone, onto a big car.
Mm.
So what terrifies me more is the fact that that is a huge drone.
Yep.
It's like that's a car-sized drone.
Yep.
So
when you get out the door, you do need to get on your knees, don't you? Otherwise, you're going to have a bit of a haircut.
It's like you definitely. Well, yeah. Is it going to put hairdressers out of business?
Those rotors do pack away, apparently, and there's a photograph of them packed away sleekly, apparently.
But I'm guessing when they're doing an important thing like keeping you in the air, they're spinning at billions of RPM. You know, like 2 inches from your ears.
Yep. Presumably it's 2
Just
tons.
wind down the window.
Yeah, yeah. That's the last thing you want to do, is it? Wind down the window and chuck something out the window. It's like cause your own in-flight disintegration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying it can take off and land vertically. It can fly over traffic congestion, obstacles, and rivers. So, yeah, short distance mobility needs. Apparently, it's going to meet all of them.
I like the fact that they've figured out what flying means. The fact that you can easily cross, various terrains. No one wants to get dropped into a river, so that's a bad thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. All right, I think it's time to bring in Adrian Beanie. Let's have a quick chat with Adrian. We got Noel. We'll get to you. Thank you very much for being patient in Houston there. There you go. I'm going to try and do some of this magic while I still can. There you go, Adrian.
Hello. So, Adrian, thanks for joining us. Adrian wrote the article that's on the website at the moment. Where's that smoke coming from? Or what's that smoke? And it's about when you had a power engine failure on flying back from Ireland. Fortunately, you managed to land. But tell us a bit about that moment when you first sensed there was smoke in the cockpit.
Yeah, well, the first thing was actually the smell of it. And I used to fly from Teesside years ago, and they would burn the moorland on North York Moors. The sort of gamekeepers would burn it. And from time to time, you would be flying along and you'd get a bit of smoke in the cockpit and you'd kind of worry for a moment. And I smelt this sort of smell of smoke somewhere overhead Pembrokeshire. And my immediate thought was, I wonder if there's someone, burning something. So I had a sort of good look around outside, nothing obvious. Had a look at the gauges, nothing obvious. So I suppose you kind of put it to the back of your head, really, and go, well, it's something external. It's not doing it now. It sounds normal. There's no other indication of anything weird happening other than this cylinder head temperature gauge, which had flickered. But yeah, then the engine started making some very strange noises, and now I know it was misfiring. It's a Continental 6-cylinder, and it was firing on 5. But I kind of reflect looking back that you don't routinely fly an aeroplane on 5 cylinders. You probably don't even routinely know what your aeroplane at cruise power sounds like flying on cylinder number normal -1. So it was a kind of, well, I need to get down somewhere. Let's go to the nearest airfield. And then there was a smell of smoke, and I thought I saw smoke in the cockpit as well. So it wasn't filling with smoke, but clearly it was the same smell that I had 5 minutes earlier. And now I thought I'd seen it in the cockpit. And so what did I think? I think that was okay, this is for real now. All of that training that you do when you first learn to fly, and the instructor chops the throttle at 800 feet on climb out from somewhere and tells you to find a field. I think there's a bit of you that doesn't quite believe that would actually happen, because you don't really want to contemplate what would happen when it happens, but it did.
So you made the decision to go into what you thought was a disused airfield. Well, it is a disused airfield.
Yeah.
But when you because you thought you spotted these domes, and you think they're going to be near an old airfield, and just take it from that point.
Well, I mean, happily, it was a VFR day, and I was at 9,000 feet. So I had good visibility and I had time. So, and you can imagine, I've contemplated what it would have been like if I'd been at, 3,500 feet in the cloud or something like that. So yeah, it was a sort of look around, and the initial turn to the northeast had been a plan to go to Shobden, which was about 10 minutes flying time away. And I thought, if I've still got power and nothing further untoward is happening, I'd like a runway that's long enough and hard, and I know it's an airport. But at the point that I decided that really I had to shut the thing down, because I had no idea whether this smoke was, as it turned out, petrol and oil dripping onto the manifold, onto the exhaust manifold, or something much more immediately life-threatening. There was that sense of, well, I have to be on the ground, and I'm not quite sure where the connection was in my head, but just a sense that sometimes those sorts of big transmission aerials are built on old airfields. And I do remember, I think probably just before my general flight test, in the days when I got my license, when you did 2 separate tests, and I think I went up for the practice up over Northumberland, and the instructor had chopped the throttle and said, find a field. And I made a very good attempt to find a field. And he said, why don't you look on the other side of the aeroplane? Because there's Esher Airfield. And so that kind of taught me, I think, to look for something that is used to having aeroplanes landing on it, rather than necessarily, sort of finding a flat field. So saw this thing, thought, is that a disused airfield? Yes, it is. Great. That's where I'm going. And that sort of felt like decision made, really. And I think all of your training says you're supposed to do that kind of, go down gently and high key and low key. And I have to confess that much of that I didn't rehearse with myself. I think I had a reasonable sense of what a sort of glidable distance looked like from any given height, and was pretty sure I could make it. So that was the decision to go there. It was disappointing then to find, as I got close enough, that the runway was covered in agricultural machinery, and was really no use as a runway at all. But you can see from where I drew the arrow on that picture, and that I don't know exactly when that aerial picture was taken, but there was less stuff either side of where my white arrow is than there is on that picture. So it was just a green field. And of course, you can see it's the inside of the perimeter of an RAF airfield. So as luck would have it, it was always going to be flat, which was quite helpful, really.
Yes, but as you made your approach towards that field, all having had various decisions to make, you had one last big decision to make, didn't you? Because you spotted You spotted
Yeah,
defense.
and I'll answer the how many engine hours in a second. Yes, what was disappointing or rather concerning was what I now know was an 8-foot high steel palisade fence in the approach, and of course, what I was wanting to do was land as close to the hedge, as high up the field as I could, because I didn't know how long it was, and so what I thought was going to be a hedge which I could get over turned out to be a rather hard thing in the form of this fence. So what was I going to do? And I'd done my biennial renewal it was less than a month earlier, and Phil at Cotswold Aero Club quite likes taking people sometimes to a field on the north side of the River Severn, which is occasionally used as an airstrip. And there's a kind of drain that goes down into the river in the undershoot. And when I did my practice force landing on that occasion, I probably would have undershot. So as we climbed away, I said, well, what would you have done? And essentially, it's the old convert altitude into a bit more speed and then convert that back into altitude, really. And so he said, put the nose forward a bit, get a bit of extra speed. You'll end up landing higher up and more slowly. You might even be really close to the stall, but you'll probably make it into the field. So that's what I did. I briefly contemplated getting rid of the stage of flap and kind of almost hauled my hand back from the flap handle to go, no, don't do that. I don't know, I think I probably landed at about 65 knots and normal kind of over the numbers, over the hedges about 70. And by that point, I can't remember, to be honest, whether I had 2 or 3 stages of flapping, wheels down. I'd had a nose gear puncture also a few weeks earlier. So that had taught me to, pull the stick back as far as possible to get the weight off the nose gear. And the grass and the clover slowed me nicely down. And there I was, and I hadn't been there very long when a bloke came out from the security hut in one of those little kind of 4-wheel buggy things to work out what the blazes I was doing in his field. And I'd landed in a place with 24-hour security surrounded by an 8-foot high fence, which was really quite useful.
Adrian, can I ask, were you alone or did you have a passenger?
No, I was alone. I had actually I'd invited my son, who was about 17 at the time, to come with me to Dublin, but I must say I'm very pleased that there was no one else in the aeroplane with me. The answer to the question about how many hours the Continental got on it, it's an engine running on condition. It had a very significant top end overhaul about 1,100 hours earlier, and so that cylinder was about 1,100 hours old. We went through a whole kind of should I have actually just nursed it on to Shobden thing? Had I needlessly endangered me in the airframe, or had I done something that was a reasonable piece of airmanship? And I had to wait about 3 weeks to find out the answer to that, which was when the aeroplane had the wings taken off and was shipped back to Coventry, where our engineers are. Rob said to me, it had gone about 2/3 or a good half or 2/3 of the way around the cylinder, and another 10 minutes and you could have had the top off, and then thrown a piston, oil all over the windscreen, and so on. It turned out to have been a good decision.
Yeah.
From a mechanical point of view.
Did we get to the? Sorry, I had to skip out and come back in again, thanks to whoever. But did we get the hours on the engine?
Yes.
Yeah, about 1,100 after a major overhaul, but not a 0 time.
Okay.
And you can imagine there were an awful lot of checks done on the other 5 cylinders after that. Everything from the rather sophisticated with bore scopes to the rather less sophisticated with lots of washing up liquid. There we are.
I think we have to say good job to that one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It took me about 2 weeks to stop waking up in the morning going, "Oh, I'm alive."
I do that every morning.
It was a rather odd thing ringing my wife and saying, "I am absolutely fine, but I'm going to be rather late home."
Right.
Yeah. Well, it was.
Sorry.
No,
I was
carry on.
going to say the thing that I think I perhaps learned most from it was the discipline of going back to the checklists, which I didn't do nearly as well as I should have done, and I would probably do better next time. But also, I don't know how many people listening, watching. I don't know how many people their training was like mine had been, which was to practice for a complete engine failure, where you have no options. You've just got to land because all the power's gone. And what I realized in retrospect was I had never actually gone through the thought processes of how do I make a good decision about whether to shut down a partially functioning air engine. And I think one of the most helpful, I did a debrief with our CFI at Cotswold about a week later, and I said, I really want to talk you through what I did and learn from it. And he told me about an incident where on a Piper Cub, I think it was, there was a significant engine problem and they hadn't been quite going to make the field, and he did turn it back on for about 10 seconds. That was all, but that got him that extra bit of distance and maintained altitude, and otherwise he would have been in not the field he wanted to be in. And I hadn't contemplated, well, I could use this knackered engine just a bit if I need it. So that how do you shut down a partially functioning engine was something that I think people ought to be prompted into thinking about when they train.
I must say, my instructor would always say to me that, a partial engine failure is almost worse than a full engine failure, just because it does lure you into that full sense of security. You think you could just make it that tiny bit further, whereas your decision making and everything is probably a lot more straightforward had it been a full engine failure.
Completely, because you'd have had no choice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Someone asked how did we get it back out? Sadly, it had to have the wings taken off. There was actually more damage caused to it by the people who took the wings off because they bent a flat than there was in landing it in the airfield, or in the not airfield, or ex-airfield, or whatever it was.
The field.
Field, yes.
Very good. A couple of comments. Darren Newington says, really enjoyed the piece, really made me think. Dr. Wedge says, kudos, Adrian. Better to assume it will fail completely than assume it won't.
I think that's right, yeah.
It was a great piece, and I have to say it's probably one of the most popular things we've had for a long time. So if you could arrange for some other kind of drama to take place and then write something else, that'd be great.
Yeah, but have some footage inside the cockpit next time, so we've got that feature.
Remember to stick the stick the
GoPro
phone
on.
Yeah.
I look back on it and I'm enormously thankful I'd done that training, that renewal flight 3 or 4 weeks earlier. I'm enormously thankful I was at 9,000 feet and on a nice day, because I think those two things made it a lot easier, if that's the right word. And I like to think I'd do it better next time, but I suppose if you get out alive and you haven't broken the airplane, that's all right. And I've no idea how much of that was skill and how much was luck. It has made me even more conscious of where would I go as I fly along.
Yeah.
Good.
Really
okay. Well, it looks like we lost Ian, but thank you for that, Adrian. It's like we said, the link is in. You'll find the link in the comments. It's definitely worth a read because it can happen to you. I think we'd all agree. So it's Adrian. I hopefully you've had your one incident now. So hopefully it's all plain sailing.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's done now.
Honestly, you should be feeling like an absolute superhero, indestructible now.
I should tell you, actually, the rest of the flying group, we have a Christmas dinner, and that Christmas they gave me a present, which was a kind of roll about, I don't know, 3 foot wide and about this big, and I unwrapped it, and it was a piece of AstroTurf with some numbers painted at either end, and they said I could take it with me whenever I go flying, so if I need an airfield, I could just chuck it out the aeroplane and land on it next time.
Very good. Very good. Great. Okay. Well, sorry, Ian.
There was a quick thing in there that Sky Crow had put in that I was trying to highlight, where basically he had an engine fire in a 206. Said he made it back to the airfield, but he should. There you go. Just made it back to the airfield. Looking back now, should have landed in the field.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to be wise after the event.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
That's one of the
Great.
things I learned.
Okay.
Thank you for
Well,
having me on.
yeah. Thanks, Adrian. And like we say, go and read Adrian's excellent feature.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Right. Thank you very much, Adrian. Let me.
Oh, nearly. There we go.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, Noel.
Hello, Noel.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm going to let you go for this, Sarah. Just I'll jump in if I've got any coverage at any time.
Yeah, go for it. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Noel, for joining us. Super last minute, but really, really appreciate it. Yeah, it's very exciting. I don't know if you want to tell everyone where you are in the world right now and talk about your move first, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we are in Texas right now because 3 weeks ago tomorrow, we moved over from the UK to Texas, and it's our new home, and we're just trying to figure out this whole living in America thing at the minute. So,
Yeah. And can I ask, the move, it's for work, isn't it? I don't know if you could explain sort of your YouTube channel.
yeah, absolutely. So I have a couple of YouTube channels. My main one is travel based, and I fly around the world, flying on all sorts of random airlines across Africa and Asia and Russia in the past and places like that. And this one you're showing here, the little 2-minute flight. And actually, that was Colonsay, actually, up in the Outer Hebrides. In Scotland. Yeah, and I basically fly around and I make videos about flying on different planes all around the world, which is my main job. And yeah, I'm also a private pilot as well. And I have a second channel where I fly around in Piper Warriors and Archers and things, and video me just flying around and enjoying life. So it's good.
Living your best life and yeah, getting paid to do it. I mean, that is the dream, isn't it?
Honestly, I kind of look at it, and as you'll know, when you're doing something you enjoy, you don't always stop and look at where you've come from, and you just think, oh, it's just another day. And then every now and then I think, hang on a minute, like if 5 years ago me had seen where I am now, and I'm actually just able to fly around the world on different airlines and fly on old airplanes and things and just enjoying life. And that's my job. It's kind of, yeah, I have to pinch myself.
So I've got a question for you, Noel, because that doesn't sound like a terrible job to me, to be perfectly honest.
It's incredibly stressful, and you wouldn't want to do it.
so I hope everyone's wondering the same thing. How did that actually happen? Did you was it careers advice at school, or?
No, because careers advice at school was I was going to work in a freight forwarding office, and that was it, and that was going to be my life, and that was yeah. But no, I've been into aviation as long as I can remember. Really, this is my first ever flight when I was like 11 years old, back in the early 90s, and over time, I got to a point where I worked for an aviation company in the UK, and all of my colleagues were plane spotters just like me, and we used to take flights off to random places across Europe and go and do plane spotting in Zurich or Paris or places like that. And that sort of just got me more and more into aviation, I guess, doing that. And eventually I started taking flights on my own, and I started filming them and making reports of when I'd flown on different airlines and talking about what the quality of the airline was like, because I didn't get to fly that often. I couldn't afford to travel often because I was still kind of in my late teens, early 20s and not actually knowing what I was going to do with my life. And it got to the point where I could just write a report about a trip I'd been on, and I'd use that to sort of come back and remember the flights that I'd been on. So I can go, yeah, that was really cool because I flew on this type of plane and we did this. And eventually I started making little videos about the flights that I was on, and just putting them with my little reports on the website that I was writing on. And I started to get a following on the videos on YouTube, which was ridiculous. And I have no idea how. I never actually set out with the aim of having a YouTube channel. In fact, if anything, I was like, I don't want to do this YouTube thing. It's for the young kids. And I'm past that stage now, And I started getting a following on YouTube, which was a bit strange. And eventually it just sort of grew and grew. And I managed to start taking trips for the purpose of just filming them to make videos, and dreamed then of giving up my IT job that I was stuck in after 20 odd years working in IT. And it sort of just got to the point where I was having to spend more time doing my videos than I was the job that I was doing. And there was that kind of parity section where I was like, well, which way do I go here? Do I give up on the IT career I've had for 20 years that I'm not really enjoying? Or do I just say, sod it and go for the really cool option and just fly around the world as my job? And we sort of decided that we were in a situation at that time where we'd got about a year's worth of money from the videos to be able to cover us. I could always go back to IT if it didn't work out, but then touch wood, fortunately it did. And here we are.
That is amazing. Do you have any like apprenticeships or anything going? Just asking for a friend.
People ask all the time, do you need somebody to come and film you, like a cameraman or something?
Just, volunteering myself here. I mean, I've watched a few of your things, and so many of them I've been like, oh wow, I'd love to go on that flight. I'd love to experience that. But there was one, and it was when you were on a SpiceJet flight. And you said you'd basically been charged 3 times for it because their website had failed.
Yeah.
You weren't, you take it you weren't reimbursed for that. I'm sure that was an admin. And then your video of all the things falling apart, and you said how it smelled, and I was thinking, yeah, I'm glad I wasn't on that one.
Yeah, they're not all glamorous, and to be honest, I have to be honest, I do quite like the ones that are like that, because it just makes it such a fun experience. Yeah, and I know it'll come, especially if I'm really tired and exhausted and I've been filming for like 3 or 4 days solid. I'll be like, I can't be dealing with this. This is just, and I go into total drama queen meltdown mode sometimes, but they are secretly, I kind of quite like them.
I want like the bloopers of you just having an absolute fit.
There is one video in India where I've not even watched. My editor made it and put it together, and I've actually refused to watch it myself, and I've never released it, and it's still sitting there unlisted on my YouTube channel because it's just. It was as part of the India trip, and it was just after SpiceJet. It was literally the next video after, so I'd had a really rubbish experience that day. I'd woke up feeling really positive because I was heading up to land in Kulu, right up in the Himalayas, beautiful part of the world. And the day just went to rubbish, really. I got to airport security, and they literally picked up my backpack with all my stuff in it and just emptied it into a tray. Because they just wanted everything out, and I was like, I'll take this out and I'll take that, and he went no, and he picked it up, emptied the whole thing. That was how the day started. So it was really rubbish, and I'm like proper like losing it. I'm just like, oh, I hate it, this airport security, it's terrible. And then I was about to take a flight on an ATR into supposedly the most beautiful airport to land at in India, so I was really looking forward to it. And then I got on the plane, and the window was so scratched you couldn't even see anything out of it. It was just like frosted window. I was like, I'm just going to bin this video off.
Well, do you know what? If we could have that for our members only, like exclusive content, that'd be fab.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think my favourite video was actually one of your vlogs. Was it kind of like, it felt like you discovering just how easy it was to fly to France.
Yeah, that was very recent. Yeah, so so we. Forever, basically, since I've got my PPL, I've been wanting to fly across the Channel and go to the 2K or somewhere in northern France. And I've just never really had the balls to do it, to be honest, because it's just as somebody that grows up in the Midlands and you fly exclusive, like every now and then you might kind of fly over a beach and then come back in to land somewhere. And that's kind of as much as my sea legs sort of went when it came to flying. And just earlier on this summer, one of the guys at the flying club said, "Oh, I've just been to the 2K this weekend." I was like, "What, from Gamston?" I'm like, yeah. It's like 2 hours there, 2 hours back. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I started asking him questions. He's like, "But you're never out. If you go on the Dover to Calais bit and you're up high enough, you're basically never out of land, like gliding range anyway, really." I was like, "You know what? We're going to do this." And I literally there and then booked the plane for this day to take my son over to the 2K. And I was so nervous before I went because I've never flown outside anywhere English speaking. So flying into France was really sort of new to me. I've never flown internationally, never flown a flight plan or anything like that. And it was so much easier. I'm just really gutted that I didn't do it earlier and do more of it because it was the easiest thing ever. Just fly down, have lunch, and then fly back again. It was so cool.
It's not a lot, isn't it?
Sorry, Sarah, what was that?
Sorry, Ed. I just said it was quite a non-event, isn't it? You know, you
Yes.
sort of hype it up in your mind to be something really, really big, and then you've done it, and you go like, "What was that? That was nothing." Like I've had more difficult flights to Sandown on the Isle of Wight than I have going to Latuke. So,
and it's when I realised as well that I flew earlier on this year. I flew Swansea to Newquay, and that over water sector over the Bristol Channel was longer than the cross channel bit between Dover and Calais. And you're like, hang on a minute, I've done this already, you know, and that was no problem because I was high enough again to glide either side. And you're just like, okay. it really is just, yeah, you do it. And then you're thinking, why was I ever worried about that?
Yeah. And I'm right in thinking that you got your license at 18, didn't you, Noel?
I'm slightly old. I was like 20, I think.
Okay.
I was quite young.
You started flying early on in life, and like many people, kind of drifted out of it, and then got back to it like 20 years later.
Absolutely, yeah. So I got my PPL back in 2001 down at Leicestershire Aero Club, and yeah, I did the mistake a lot of people make when they learn to fly. And I basically I took out a loan, a small loan, which is terrible advice. Don't ever do that. For the cost of a PPL, paid for it all in advance, did all the flying, got my PPL, and then suddenly realised that this flying thing's actually a little bit more expensive than I could actually cope with. And it didn't help that at the time I literally met my wife 2 weeks before I did my skills test and got my PPL. And we ended up obviously getting engaged and getting married and buying a house together. And all of a sudden, that nice big sort of pot of money you've got to go flying is no longer there. And I was getting to the point, I flew from East Mids for a bit with Don Air down there. And I got to the point where, I mean, the worst flight in my logbook is I took off, and it literally says one circuit. I took off from East Midlands. I did one circuit and landed just to remain current, like for the club currency thing. And it was kind of after that, I thought, this is just, I can't keep doing this. We're just paying money just for me to just fly in a circle and land again. What is the point? So I stopped, and I actually thought that I'd lost my license completely. I had no idea at the time that your PPL is effectively valid forever, and it's just your ratings that you have to keep up to date. I hadn't thought about that. I just thought, that's it, it's gone. And then over time, obviously, the YouTube thing took off, and I'm starting to get a bit more time on my hands, and things started to get a little bit better. And it was during COVID in 2020, actually, and I thought, you know, the whole travel thing was sort of going downhill. Who knew where that was going to go at the time? And I thought, I did have my PPL. I thought, I wonder what it would take if I did my PPL again, fully expecting to have to go and actually do another 45 hours and get a completely new license. And I contacted a couple of places, and they said, no, you've still got your license. You just need to just do a refresher for a few hours and then do a check ride with us, a checkout, and then you're good to go. I'm like, really? And it was as easy as that. And I went up to Yorkshire Aero Club initially, who did my check ride. It was about 4 hours in a 172, did a couple of landaways. He did a check ride after that. And he's like, you're good to go. And as easy as that, one day was all it took. It absolutely baffled me how easy it was to get back into the swing of flying and things. It really is. It's crazy.
Fantastic. And since then, I think you've gone on to you've added at least a couple of ratings, haven't you, including your night rating?
Yes, I have. Incredible. I did my night rating last winter, which is a fascinating thing. If any, and I'm guessing most people there have got it, but if you've not got your night rating, you've got to do it. It's a completely. The thing I'd say is it's like flying again. It's like starting to fly again from scratch, and you're learning all these new experiences once again. Like simple things like flying over your hometown and things like that you do when you first get your PPL. You get to do it all again, but at night, and see it all lit up and things. And that's the thing that has really been the best thing about that for me. But also coupled with the fact that we knew that we were moving to the States, and over here, they do the night rating as part of your actual PPL. And if I'd got my piggyback license, which is the one that I have, then I wouldn't be able to fly at night over it. It would have that restriction on that I couldn't fly at night, and I didn't want that. So I was like, I'll do my night rating, and then we're sort of good to go. So
are you current now with your night rating, or?
I'm not at the minute. No, I've got to do my 3 landings at night because obviously we just come out of the summer period, so we don't get much night flying done in the summer back in England. But I am certainly going to be doing it because there's some really cool things I want to do here. People keep telling me I need to fly. There's a section of airspace over the centre of Houston that's not in the Bravo, and you can sort of fly down there at night time, and apparently it looks amazing. So that's the sort of thing that we're going to be hoping to do now. So I need to get that recurrent again here. So
you need to go and get a standalone license as well, instead of, well, you don't need to, but it'll be a good thing. You then won't be the hassle of having the underlying one as well, and it'll be easy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely on my plan. You see, I'm looking at getting my instrument rating because obviously my IMC that I did back in the UK isn't valid over here. So it's basically VFR only now again for me, which is a bit of a sort of a culture shock because, you're just used to just popping through clouds periodically and it's all okay. And then here it's just like, no, you cannot go anywhere near the clouds. It's so yeah, my plan is to try and get an FAA IR over here, but I'm undecided if I get my PPL first and add it to that, or whether to just add it onto my piggyback one, which apparently you can do as well. So
you can do that as well. Yeah, just go ahead and do it both at the same time. Really, it's not very big. And you might as well do a CPL instead of a PPL while you're there.
Absolutely. I'm all about adding stuff on my CPL. I don't know if I'm that bothered about the CPL, to be honest, because it's not. Flying commercially was always a dream I'd had as a kid, but at the moment I'm just like, where I am at the moment, would I ever want to work for somebody and actually fly for my job? And I don't know whether
it's not so much as a flying job, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that are just you could get people going, well, hang on a minute, are you making money out of this, filming this? Well, maybe it'd be better just get a CPO and have done with it. It'll be
true. Yeah,
it's not that.
It removes that ambiguity, doesn't it? Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
And you can go charter some big planes and up all the seats.
That's it. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and as you're in the home of GA, obviously the actual best place in the world for general aviation, have you got an aeroplane that it's like, I'm going to get my hands on this because this will be like the pinnacle of your GA flying? Any favourites out there?
So the club that I'm at the minute, they've got a really nice Cirrus SR20, and I really want to start getting into Cirruses because Cirrus is like everything over here. Like everybody wants a Cirrus, and every time you fly into an airport, there's one coming tanking up behind you at 120 knots in the pattern and stuff. So I'm like, I need to get myself a Cirrus. And at least flying in the Cirrus, they've got one in the club. So I'm actually considering doing my transition training over to that and then flying that because it's just available like 24/7 for flights. So that's kind of one of the main reasons. But then also that's a nice one to do my IR in if I can do it in something like a Cirrus and you've got the full G1000s and stuff set up to make it.
Ian, I don't know about you, but I think maybe we need to introduce Noel to Ivy.
I think we do need to introduce Noel to Ivy. We'll set that up for you.
Yes. So Ivy's in charge of Cirrus, the Cirrus piston product line. So she's a lot of fun.
She's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Yes, absolutely.
Just as you're in America, you don't forget you have to phone up everywhere and ask for PPR. You have to take your yellow jacket everywhere.
Your high vis, yeah.
I want you to go into every FBO and say, where can I check? Where can I book in, book out? I need PPR for this. Just try it, see how it goes.
And how much is the landing fee?
And how much is the landing fee? Yes. Yeah, I asked that the other day when I flew in. She's like, what's a landing fee? It's certainly a little bit different. I've done a bit of flying since I've been here. We flew over to College Station, which is a little town about 40-50 miles from Houston. Wouldn't expect much there, and you land and you basically get out of the plane. They bring a golf buggy out to take you into the FBO, which was the first thing. Was like, what? And you go in the FBO, and it's like a 5-star hotel. And there's like teas and coffees and snacks and things. And I'm like, okay, so what's the landing fee? Because there's no landing fee, but there's just a $10 fee for handling. I was like, okay, $10. Whereas in England, you'd pay 20 quid and you go to a porter cabin and flick the kettle on and sit in a drafty porter cabin. It's crazy. Yeah.
It is brilliant. It's brilliant. We are unfortunately approaching 8:30 and we haven't yet managed to run Fantasy Hangar. So unless anyone's got any other questions, we're going to have to sadly wrap this up quickly and go straight into Fantasy Hangar, and then
we can do that. But I've stuck a link in the. It's a bit of a jumbled link, but I can guarantee you this will take you to Noel's pilot vlogs on YouTube, and you can also find Noel's enormous travel channel YouTube as well. So definitely worth doing. Noel, enjoy flying GA in the States, and keep us posted on what you're up to.
Thank you.
Are you going to go to Oshkosh next year?
I am at Oshkosh next year. I'm not flying up myself though. I'm taking United because I can't be doing with that. So.
Well, look us up.
We'll be there. So let's get together at Oshkosh.
Absolutely, Ian. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
Brilliant. Okay, right. In that case, it must be time for
Fancy. Very good. Great chat. We didn't manage to get the answer to how did you get permission to settle in the US. Maybe we'll try and find that out from Noel.
Noel, how did you get permission to settle in the US?
Yeah, stick it in the private chat and we'll share it maybe by the end. So Fancy Hanger, very quickly, in Livestream Extra yesterday, which is the live stream for club members only, we asked for their suggestions. What do you want to run for Fancy Hanger? And they said, how about, as people are thinking about economizing, which SSTR would you pick for your Fancy Hanger? So who's first?
The one I've got, well, I'm going to just go in order when I've got. So Sarah, you're first.
Okay. So it had to be a tail dragger, obviously. So I've gone for the Sherburn Cub.
Oh.
I think it's just so cute. I've picked this on the basis that it's cute. But no, I just love it. It's just a mini cub. And I can just see myself in this. Like, I love flying alone anyway. I love the peace and quiet of it. So I'm actually really loving the idea of having this. And one place I really, really want to fly is Alaska. And I just have visions of having that because it's got apparently the quickest wing fold on the market. And it can fit into a really small little garage. So I'm just thinking a little log cabin, have a little garage, stick that in, wheel it out, just fly around Alaska, some beautiful landscapes, just all by myself. And it's got
flying around Alaska behind a two-stroke.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing wrong with that at all. But no, it's got so the takeoff and landing roll 50 meters, and it's got about a 200-mile range on it. And yeah, I just like it. It's not fast. It's 63 knot cruise, but I'm not gunning it anywhere. I just want to be bimbling around, really.
Can I just point something out, Sarah, which is for a cute airplane, it's got a pretty big tail.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it does. It does a little bit, but I'm ignoring that fact. I'm just looking at the cute little wheels, thinking if weight allowed it, I'd have to get some bigger tyres on there.
Well, of course, SSDR, you've got to stay underneath 300 kg all that way. Yeah. So I think your big tyres probably might be a budget buster.
Yeah. It might. But that was mine.
I'm the next one, am I? So I picked this. You won't have heard of it. Well, you won't. It's been shown at a couple of shows. It's the product of Graham Smith of Kent-based Sprite Aviation. And a while ago, he decided to make, he went, actually, the market needs an exciting little SSDR. And he came up with this, which is the Sprite Aviation Stinger. And he's actually, it's on the go, been on the go for a number of years now, but he's actually finished that this year. And I did drop him a message because we've been keeping up to date just on how he's getting on. And I just think this is a fabulous little thing. I'm not sure if it's flown yet. It was due to, but it's proper. It's all metal aeroplane. It's got it's aluminium over a little steel tube safety cell up front, just a regular monocoque tail, and a Rotax 582. So the thing's going to go like stink. And I just, it's like, that's a cool little sport plane, and Graham's all about low cost aviation. So when you got something that looks so cool for, relatively little cost, I think he was aiming for it to be around about £25,000. So that looks like a fun little machine. I still live in hope that we'll see a few of those around.
My turn next. I went for the little SpaceX SD1.
Oh yeah.
I just think it looks great, and this happens to be part next to my airplane in the hangar. So I see it on a regular basis, and when the owner's not around, I just stroke it gently and look at it longingly with the desire that it's pretty unlikely that I'd ever fit into it, to be perfectly honest with you. And when you watch it go off from Lideway, it looks like it. If I'm honest, it looks like it could do with another 10 horsepower maybe. But it's just a great looking little aircraft made better by having a fabulous colour scheme and being a beautifully hand built example, really.
That is a lovely aeroplane. You've managed to make it look quite a lot bigger in the photo than it really is, because it's one of those that because when you pull your 182 out of the hangar, your 182 actually goes over the top of this, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes. It's a diminutive little aeroplane. It's
kind of waist height, isn't it?
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't need that 2-ton Tessie to lift it up. But anyway, that was my view. Dave?
So my choice is, well, it's the most pretty one here, I think. It's a JH Corsair, which is, yeah, here it is. It's just gorgeous. Made by a company called JH Aircraft in Germany. We've seen it at various Aero Friedrichshafen shows, and now it's flying. It's been flying for a little while. You can have two versions. There's a choice of 2 power units. You can either have the 3-cylinder Vernal radial, which does sound as though it's missing needs another cylinder to make it sound right. But you could also have the electric one. There's an electric motor version out there, which I think is probably the one to have, really.
And I think the electric motor version, which he launched at Aero this year, also comes with wing fold, doesn't it?
It does come with wing fold, yep. So just like a proper Corsair, the big Corsair, the one that was used on off aircraft carriers, it does do the whole thing.
Yeah. Darren says Dave needs his medication.
I do. I do.
However, lots of people say Dave wins.
What?
In fact, Dave appears to be the only winner. It's like,
oh wow!
There we go.
Right, and Dave won last week as well, didn't he?
And we had a strong start from Sarah. There we go. But that was it.
That was it. No one likes the Sherburne Cup.
Darren Lewington reminds us there's an aeroplane called the Conway Viper, which if we go back a few years at LAA Rally, Barry Conway took a model jet aeroplane and went, that looks like that would be fun as a real aeroplane, scaled it up to SSDR kind of weights and proportions, powered it with, I think, 4 model jet turbines, and built it out of carbon fiber. And I think he's still working on the flight test program at the moment, but that is a very cool aeroplane, Darren. Yeah, you're right.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Dave wins. Colin Elder says, what about the Curry Watt? Colin, it's too heavy for SSDR. So there's a lot of Dave wins. Dave, you've aced it.
Blimey.
So, Nick Allen disagrees. There's a pretty aircraft trying to break out of that one of Dave's. Sarah wins. Ed wins. The Merlin, which is the Tech Pro aeroplane, which is a really great little SSDR. Ian's flown it. Is probably the winner. Paul Mann Cessna.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick message on some other stuff. Quick message from Noel there. He said basically he came over on an investment visa through the company they work with on the YouTube channel. It's taken them a couple of years to get there, but now they're there and they can live and work there. So thank you very much for that, Noel, and for anybody who wanted to know that. So
get yourself a very successful YouTube channel.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Right, let's move on swiftly. And there's an item that, there you go, Dave, events.
Yeah, well, it's not a lot of events this time of year, but one that's on tonight in about half an hour's time. It's the series of new series of Warplane Workshop. It's on tonight, More 4 at 9 p.m. So it may be available on catch up afterwards, but it's tonight.
Do TV.
11th of November, Gasco Safety Evening at Henstridge. 14th of November, the annual Light Aircraft Design Conference at the Royal Aeronautical Society. 19th of November, Historic Aircraft Symposium. There's a flying at Compton Abbas on the 10th of December. We're waiting to hear about New Year's Day flyings. There's usually a couple that happen, but they haven't been confirmed yet.
No, very good. Well, I think we have overrun significantly, about 8 minutes. So I think it's probably time to say thank you very much to everybody for watching. I do apologise for my internet issues here. Don't forget, in 20 minutes, you can go and watch Warbird Workshops, I think they actually call it. I don't like that word, Warbird Workshops. And so have a good one. Thank you very much. We'll see you next Wednesday. If you're a member, if you're not a member, you should, don't forget, become a member in November. We're gonna have to do some cheesy captions for that.
That's good.
We're gonna get a video out on that.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Thanks very much, everybody.
Fly safe if you're going to fly safe. Otherwise, see you next week.
Yep.
Oh, Pilot Careers Live tomorrow, Saturday, if you can make it.
That's it.
See you there.
Yeah, and thank you, SkyDemon.
Thank you. Oh yeah, sorry.